We want to welcome everybody to the Moorish Science Temple of America. This is Temple 12. Okay. Temple 12. We want to thank everybody for coming out, especially this cold afternoon. This cold, it's freezing out there. It'll take a couple minutes and you're cold. If anybody have any reason they want to get up and get snacks, normally we just put one hand up for those that are new here, and just respect for the person who's speaking, that you're going to be moving around and you can get whatever you need. If your hand is up, and you should find that somebody is being called before you. If it's a sister, a lot of times we'll revert to the sister first. That's a sign of respect. So if there's any questions, anything before we get started, we usually start with a prayer, we end with a prayer, and in between is a class. So basically you can ask questions, just raise your hand. If you say Islam, we'll get to you and get your questions. It's not a particular amount of data that we need to get through, but however, we want to try to get some points across to broaden our scope of understanding who we are and what we are. Islam? Islam. So with that, if we can, we'll rise and, for the prayer. Allah, Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through our holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. And can you remain standing for the reading of the bylaws? We'll have the assistant, have our, security reading. Yeah, he can read it. Islam.
Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh, and ascended into his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is a holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and impartial of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and Constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and a partial of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live in the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained noble Drew Ali, prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a partial of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faith. Husbands, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband, take care of your children, and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure of love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Noble Drew Ali, founder, Morris American Prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. Morris Science Temple of America, home office of Noble Drew Ali, Chicago, Illinois, USA. Islam.
Islam. Thank you, brother. You may be seated. Islam. Before we get started, is there any questions that anyone may have before we get started? We do have some material to go over, but if there's some things that someone has questions that need to be settled or anything of that nature, you can ask their questions now. Or if something sparks you through the middle of the conversation, you can ask it then. And also to the people that's online right now, you can type a question at the bottom. Go down to the bottom of the screen. You can click in, and then you can actually type the question in, and we can see the question, repeat it, and then give you the answer. You don't have to wait till after it's over and email me or text me then the question. You can get it answered here now. You have a more well-rounded response by doing it now as opposed to wait. So if there's any questions online, you also can ask those questions, and we can read the question aloud. The brother get them and you read them aloud. And if you can't do it through there, if you have anybody else's number that's in here, you can text them the question. Then they can do it. They can send it out. Islam?
Islam.
So. Have another reading. It says, the prophet warns all Muslims to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cars at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your cars is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequences. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet therefore is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace. Islam. So he said he's going to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Do anybody know what the sin? We read that in every class. We had that reading. When we go anywhere else, they had the same reading. So do we know what the sinful ways are? Anybody? Islam, brother.
Not honoring the forefathers and foremothers.
Right. Anybody else know what the sinful ways is? Islam. Huh?
Everyday temptation.
Everyday temptation. Okay, that's part of it. Brother right here.
Greed. A lot of greed.
Yes, it is. It is a lot of greed.
Pridefulness.
Islam. Greed and pride, the brother said. Anybody else? Read Brother Salih. Can you read the first part of Act 6?
Act 6 from the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and a partial of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865. 5
Islam.
during the time of slavery.
Yeah, Islam. That's it. Yep. So that is the sin. That is the problem. Those are the things that we are doing that's causing us to be in the state of mind that we're in now, because we adhering to what somebody else has called us and not what we are. Islam?
Islam.
So this is what the prophet is talking about. We're gonna do a little bit of we're gonna kind of stretch out a little bit on the class today to get some thinking. So I'm gonna expect some responses from everybody and give us some thought. We're gonna be dealing with the state of mind of humanity. One thing that's unique about this is this particular photo here, right? This is, we're gonna get into this a little bit also. This is the Quran questionnaire for Moorish Americans, the 101s. And at the front of it, you can see that the prophet has a woman who is on her, has marked humanity. And then you see him, all of these, she's dripping wet. She's been drowning in what is termed the cares of the world. You know, not the cares of my family, but the cares of the world. So this woman is holding all the cares of the world, and she is termed humanity. And he's picking her up and bringing her out of the cares of the world and back onto a solid rock of salvation. That's something. See, he's taking her out of the cares of the world and putting her on a solid rock of salvation. You know, so that's what the prophet is doing. So what we have here is salvation then. What we have here is salvation. We have what the prophet brought. And what the prophet did was bring humanity out of the cares of the world and onto a solid rock of salvation. So how do we do that? You know, we first must determine what these problems are really truly, and then how do we deal with them? Are we going to solve all those right here today? I doubt it. No, doubt it. But we're going to make a headway into it. So when we say the state of humanity, does anybody have any kind of definition for the word humanity? And I can wait for somebody to Google it or look it up if that's the case, because we might want to know what is humanity. Any guesses while somebody else is looking it up? Anybody got a guess?
I mean, for me, it's simple. Small. Woman.
The brother said for him it's simple as the woman. That's humanity for him. Islam. Anybody else? Any guesses why somebody else is looking it up? Islam, go ahead.
The human race, human belonging, and human beings collectively.
Okay. Yeah, human beings collectively. That's one of the definitions that the brother don't read there. Anybody else? So,
I got the 1828.
okay, the brother got an 1828 reading. We use the 1828 reading a lot because we figure that's about the one that the prophet would have been using and was taught in. Islam, go ahead.
The peculiar nature of man, by which he is distinguished from other beings, Thus, Christ, by his incarnation, was invested. That's the first one. 2 is mankind collectively, the human race.
Okay.
I got the etymology of it.
Okay.
It says kindness, graciousness, politeness, and consideration for others.
Okay. Now that's in the etymology. It's kindness, graciousness, politeness to others. That's humanity. So when they say to somebody, keep that definition, brother. We're gonna extend into that a little bit more. So when they say you are your humanity, most time in our time, people are speaking about how you will address the rest of the people around you, no matter who they are. Even to the extent if there's have you seen commercials on where they have the animals come on there and you should give $2 to help save these animals, and the one little dog is on there and he just kind of like look like a little tear come out the dog eye. You know, they get billions of dollars for this. They get money coming in. You know why? Because of humanity. That's humanity. That's caring for other things besides yourself, right? Islam. So that's part of humanity. So that's a description. You know what I'm saying? We still haven't got to what the human is. in the humanity, right? So read on a little more in that same one you got. So.
It says human nature, the human race, mankind. Then it say also humane conduct.
Okay, go back again. Say it again.
Human nature, humankind.
Okay, stop. It says human nature. That's the nature of a human, correct? What's the next word?
Yeah, humankind.
That's something that's kind of a human, right? So kind of a human fitting into this kindness of humanity that's describing what a human is. So this human is going to have a human nature, which is going to be that humanity, right? And it's going to also extend into humankind. That's a kind of human. It fits a bill. The next one.
Okay, it says humane conduct, philanthropy, kindness, good breeding, refinement.
Okay, good breeding. Now, what does that have to do with humanity? Can you have bad breeding? If I put 2 months together, what would I get out?
Another month.
Another month. So what does breeding have to do with human? Right? So we have to get these thoughts. We have to reason these thoughts through, that there's something that makes differences between one thing and the other. And therefore, if 2 things are different, then they don't behave the same. They have different motivations. They have different things that pushes them forward. They have different things they can and cannot do. They have different things that they can eat that help them, different things that they don't eat that won't help them. So we have all of these different things going on, but it's clearly that there is a difference between beings. Not saying that that tree is more important, because without the trees, this can happen, or without dirt, that can happen. Everything has its place, and it has just as much importance as everything else. Islam?
Islam.
So we got good breeding, and what else?
Refinement. And then it says human nature, human form, state or quality of being human.
Okay, so we have human nature again and human form. What is something that's not a human form? You know what I'm saying? So these things, now this is the etymology of the word. This is how we can get to the bottom of it. And it goes a lot deeper than this, and I typically go deeper, but I just want to get you to thinking. And there's a couple words in here we're going to get into that you'll have to go and research. Go ahead on a little bit.
And it goes into the human race, humans collectively.
Okay. Does it give you a word in there? It's DHGHEM.
Oh, no. No, I don't see that.
Should have been right after that. But this is a word that's used to explain from the root of it. So mostly all of your words come in dealing with humanity, human, and death and such of that nature comes from this word. Is root, and that word is DH. Go with DHOMON. And then the root of the word is going to be DHGHEM. And so, and this word loosely flies back to earthly being, or earthly being. So that word human goes back to an earthly being, as opposed to what? A being that's not earthly. So what would that be? And when you continue to check the root words, trying to find out what's going on here, you'll find out that those are gods. So you're dealing with the God that's on the ground, that's earthly, and the God that's above, that's not confined to a body, right? So what keeps us at this earthly plane? What keeps us here is our body. The vibration that we moving at in this body is not fast enough. So as we lose the body, we speed up. As we lose the soul, we back to light speed again. All right. So we moving a little bit faster. So that's as opposed to God. So when you look at humanity, humanity is a godly being. That's what you're looking at. That person has all of the traits of God. He's going to do all of the things that is good, that is helpful to all of the things on the earth. Islam.
Could you explain that a little bit? How is humanity a godly being?
It's the actions of a godly being. Humanity, the human is what is going to be able to execute humanity. The other things can do it, but he's not going to do what the human can do. There's different things. Everything is not human. So you have to determine by doing your research what is human. You see? Now, you do the root word or that one word, you should be able to come up with this one. Pretty easy, because it's going to tell you that is in opposition, or not in opposition, but as opposed to a being that is on the ground. So it would be, even some of them go as far as to say earthling. It's the earthling. Because I remember when I first looked that up, I was trying to figure out about space and all that. Like, is there people coming from outer space? Is this going to be happening for real? But when you look up the word, it's very simple, you know. There's no spaceman like that, you know what I'm saying? But earthlings, we just become earthlings. That's all it is. So, but you have to look it up and be trying to find the answer to it, because if you don't, it won't do you no good if somebody just keep telling you something and then you just accept it for what they said it was. That's how you got in this predicament. And somebody called you black and then you accepted it. And somebody called you African American, a little later you accept, then you was colored. You know, so you've been all these different things except for what you really are. So if you don't, and the prophet said you need to know who you are. If I could teach you any one thing, it would teach you to be yourself, be who you are. All right? So you got to know who you are. So as a human, you need to know what a human is. Right? So knowing that you're human, and you knowing that you have these humanity, these traits, you have humanity in you, you have these traits. So why is it that then humanity is on, in the 101s, we have humanity on the woman? These traits of love and endearment and all of these things. And he brought her out of the cares of the world on the rock of salvation. Where is salvation? Our salvation going to be, our earthly salvation is going to be right here in this temple. We haven't had any earthly salvation anywhere else. The last 400, 500 years we've been in the church. It hasn't provided us any earthly salvation. Now, is that to say that somebody done something wrong? No, I'm not saying that. Because spiritual salvation can be found there. You know, but how far can you go? You won't go far enough, because your earthly salvation is very critical to what we're doing and how we teach our kids Islam.
So if I hear you, then the salvation on earth has to be just the sustaining of life. As long as you have a body where a spirit can abide, you sustain your life on this earth. When you have the one book and you have a prophet holding the woman and basically saying to restore the woman, to regenerate the woman, to regenerate the woman, to restore her to a level of DNA where all the gifts that were ever given are still hers. So I think when you know, Brother Salih says, you know, is asking about humanity, and I forget this specific question. Without that spirit being allowed, the compassion, love, that's the salvation, and that we are the only ones who can express that to each other. And as long as we keep grave clothes and keep reminding ourselves of who we're not, you know, as soon as we start speaking forward and really going with who we are, you know, take all the grave clothes off. So we're not murderers, we're not felons, we're not all these other names that black, Negroes, niggas, whatever. Just take them all off. And, you know, from this moment, show up as I am.
That's all. So the sister made it clear, you know, we have to be who we are. And that's the whole purpose of this. Now, so what we have is, they said we have fallen humanity. We have fallen humanity. Where did humanity fall from? Where, I mean, did it, you know, where did it fall to?
Darkness.
It fell in the darkness, the brother said. Anybody else? Did it hit the ground? When it fell, did it hit the ground? Is anybody of that persuasion of mind? No, nobody of that.
I say it's Islam. I say it's more pretty much we cut support from Allah.
The cutting of the cord from Allah. In a way, I can see that. I can see that for sure. Islam?
I was saying like a disconnect.
Yeah.
Disconnected from
Islam, a serious disconnect. Right. Serious. Islam.
Just another thought. What if falling into the dark, or because it also talks about deep waters and all like that. What if there is no disconnect because a spirit has to have a body. A baby is in his mom, connected to the mom, connected to the source of life at that moment. In his world, he's in darkness. All he knows is floaty placenta, and So if a spirit and you're created so fearfully and wonderfully, and you're given a purpose before you ever get here. If we believe those things, then we have to consider that the woman has a divine connection to God, has a divine connection to her child, and the first darkness that a human falls into is in his mom's womb.
Islam. That is true. That is true. However, there is a disconnect because of the actions that we see now from our women and from our men and from people just worldwide. There's a serious disconnect from the thing. So when we say fall in humanity, we're not talking about something that physically hit the ground. We're talking about a thought or ideology or a belief in some things that now is no longer there. We've left a particular way of thinking into another way of thinking. So these are the ways in which we are now, the prophet said, that is a sin for us to continue to think these particular ways. So this is the falling part. So in all of this, in protecting our men, protecting our kids, our women have been instrumental. So, and even to the point, they would say, protecting the whole world by absorbing all of that negativity. You know what I'm saying? And it wears our women out. It wears them out. So we got to get them out of that and get them back on the truth, which is the salvation. The truth is the salvation. So once we get them on the truth, they can stand strong and it won't wear them out no more. They can weather all of that. And we're going to get to that. I kind of got ahead of myself.
Islam.
So Islam.
I had a message from Sister Tamika. She was listening. She said, fell from the grace of Allah by not being honorable to those that care before us.
Islam. The sister said we were not honorable to those that came before us, which is what we're saying when we take on them names. We're not honoring our forefathers and foremothers. And when we do that, we sin. As simple as that. Anybody not following that? Because I'm trying to take it slow so you will know where you at. So if it's something you're not getting, you can ask me now. Islam? So now that's the state of humanity. Is that the overall state? I'm just giving you a piece of it to give you a direction so we can go in. So that's the state of humanity. Is that that the woman is taking a beating. We're taking a beating. Society as a whole, when you look in different worlds, you see how can we have a 6-bedroom house with 4 people in it, and these people, they sleeping outside. You see, how can the people in another country, they can't even get nothing to eat, but we throw away food, but we complain about the food that we throwing away. That's whether we in England, like this is not an unusual conversation that we're having right here today. In England, it's people that I know there. You can get online, talk to them. We talk about the same thing we talk about now. You can go to Australia. You can go to any of these places and have the same conversation. So there is a worldwide problem with the same thing. So humanity is global. We are everywhere. There's no place where you go on this planet we're not. How could you have anything if we're not there? It's not gonna work. Islam. So we go into now the state of Islam. Now we just talked about the state of humanity, and we see that the state of humanity is in a particular fragmentation, right? Now we're talking about the state of Islam. Now, particularly when we say the state of Islam, you have Islam being practiced by a multitude. There's so many different methods. You got Sunni, you got Shiites, you got all different kinds of Muslims. The Prophet Muhammad said, I think in one hadith says 117 or will be different branches of Islam. So we're looking particularly as to what happened there. When you look at Islam, in reference to after the fall of the Ottoman Empire, we've seen some very unique things that happened after the fall of the Ottoman Empire to Islam, because no one would pretty much argue that at the time, the Ottomans, Turks, however you want to explain it, were the caretakers. They took care of Islam. They provided it and kept it in check for a long time. So after that, a lot of that area that was taken after the war began to continue to follow Islam, but also was influenced by Western thought, because that was the conquering factors of different, and I wouldn't even, it couldn't be really Western, but outsiders. I'll put it like that, outsiders. So some things changed as a result. Islam.
Wow.
So when we look at that, we look at these things coming after those wars. So, and when we look at Islam from us here from our prophet that came over 100 years ago, then now we're looking at it from the aspect of what our prophet brought to us in its purity. There's nothing that has happened to this. There's no other renditions of this Moorish Science Temple, the Moorish Science Temple of America, Holy Quran. There's no more renditions of it. This is it. We don't have another language that is in or anything like that. It's in the language that we speak from the prophet that came, speaking the language that we speak from among us. He went through the same situations we went through, dealt with the same type of people that we dealt with in the same conditions, right? So we have Islam given to us in its purity, brought back to us in its purity. So that is the state of Islam that we're in. We're in that state of pure Islam if we choose to practice it from among what the prophet brought us. But if we choose to use something else, then we'll be away from what is pure. Islam. So now the state of the temple. Now we don't have the state of humanity, the state of Islam we briefly spoke on. Now we're seeing the state of the temple. The state of the temple is so the prophet came and he created the temple and he started building upon the temple, and it was mosques in every major city. It was temples in every major city, and people began to flourish politically, which is for our earthly salvation. Politics was part of that, and we began to flourish even in the end. Doctors, lawyers, and everything else was working. Politicians and all that was working right in the temple to get these things done, right? So then the prophet changed forms. And when the prophet changed form, the temple became fragmented into basically 3 parts. And as a result of that, it stalled it, when the prophet already knew this. So now we're in a stage of rebuilding the temple and getting things back in order, right? So that's the state of what the temple is in now. So now we got the state of Ohio. What is the state of Ohio? Is it everything is hunky-dory? Everything's great? Everything's wonderful? What do you think? Everything great in Ohio? You live in Ohio, right? Anybody?
I can't say Ohio is better than Illinois.
A brother from Illinois say it may not be better than Illinois. But what is the state of it? Is it in a state of emergency to where they need to lock everything down? People just going haywire? Is it calm and cool and collected? Is it a wonderful place? Is it a sunny place? Is it a place that's upon the truth? What is it? What is the state of Ohio? You living in it. So what do you feel the state of Ohio is? Huh? That's not.
I guess it's according to your perspective.
It is. It's going to be somebody's perspective. Why not yours? It's not. Right. Yeah. So, but we can see that there's problems. We got problems with gangs in Ohio doing stuff. We got severe problems with drugs in Ohio. They just allocated billions of dollars to try to do something about this heroin that's killing so many people so fast. Ironically, the majority of the people in Ohio and the majority of people in the United States are suffering from this epidemic. You know what I'm saying? So it becomes a polarizing event for them to try to get it done, as opposed to, let's say, if this was just happening to a small amount of Indians, not that many, or a small amount of Japanese people, or a small amount, it's not as on the page is big, but it's hurting the body of the United States. So a lot of money is allocated to it to try to get it done. So that's the state. So there's a drug problem in Ohio, right? So we got a gang problem in Ohio. A lot of money is allocated to that. We have to just follow that money. So these things dictate the state. Now, the application of applying the money to a system to try to fix it is the state that we in. We're trying to fix it. So that's what Ohio is doing. Now, we get down into now what's the state of you? You know, what's the state of you personally? Islam?
There's many parallels in that though.
Yeah, it is.
Because you talked about the state of humanity and you said that was talking about the collective. I see that as us individually and collective. When you're talking about the state of the temple and it affecting the body, when we the temple, we are the bodies in the earth that's supposed to move forward the business of the Most High. You know, so and that's what's missing outside and in here, the practical application, the instructions, the how to walk. Because you said that you call it the Honorable Noble Juali. Lived in the same conditions, and it just can't be so. It's the same thing as saying, you know, Jesus, you know, did a tweet like Trump did. It is not the same time. So when you say the practical living, you know, applying it practically, the principles now in this environment, politically, socially, sexually, economically, you know, is much different than a woman trying to apply a practical information in 1950s, where husbands and families were more in place, and you had institutions that kept boundaries. Right. Everything is so loose now. If you don't recognize that the governing of yourself begins with yourself and starts outward from there, you know, you'll have anybody just pulling, you know. Right. If we talking about man, let it be man. If you said what's your state, what's your condition, then wait for their response. That's what empathy is, and that's what brings it down from metaphysical thought to practice.
And that's where we at now. That's where we at. The state of we found the state of Ohio. We found the state of Temple. We know what the state of something is. It's conditioned. So what is the state? What is the state of you? What is your state? You know, so that is the thing that you have to be cognizant of, is what is your state? What is the state that you in right now? You know what I'm saying? Where are you at? The prophet don't gave us some specific instructions as to know thyself. Straightforward, just know thyself. So you have specific instructions. So what is your state now in that knowing of thyself? What is the state that you're in at this present moment? We look at it, for the most part, evil has taken control. Evil has taken control of the body. When you look at the way in which people eat and the way their bodies is functioning, it's just defiant completely. You got cancer, you got all these different things running rampant. High blood pressures, you got diabetes, you got sickle cell, you got anemia, you got all these things that are running rampant. This is evil in the body. It's functioning. You know, when we say evil, we automatically think we've been persuaded to think that it's something over there and it's this force that's about to try to kill everybody on earth. No, that's whatever. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about in the strength of what we are, spiritual beings, human beings, that evil is. It's that evil thing. The brother has a response back here. Go ahead.
You started doing it. I just want
go ahead, add something to it then, brother.
I was just wondering what made you define that as evil, and then you started going into what that evil is. And I don't know, it just evoked a lot of quite a few thoughts. So I really don't have anything to add at this time, because you started elaborating on what that evil in fact is. I guess one thing that comes to mind is what makes you believe, or what do you think happened that made it susceptible to that evil?
Well, when we look at it well, I just answer like this. I don't want to get too far off because that's a big question. You know, that's a big question. What made us susceptible, what the brothers say, to this particular type of evil? Well, seeing evil as what it really is the deterioration that it caused. One thing is you stop feeding your body with the things that you're supposed to feed it with. And that immediately causes a deterioration that causes your body to not support what you're doing. So it creates a situation where your body want to do one thing, you want to do the other. For instance, I fed my kids when they was growing up. When they wanted something, the treat was an apple, or it was an orange, or a pear, and they was excited. You know, they didn't stay too much with nobody else in the family, but my mother, maybe sometimes my sister. Other than that, they was at home with me and my wife, one of the two. So they didn't get a chance to experience any of that. So they got like about 3 or 4, maybe going on 5 before they actually had candy. And they got that candy, it was over with. No, we don't want that apple. We want that right there. That piece, that little piece right there. We don't want that big old apple, because before they want a bigger apple. We want that little piece of candy right there. Why? That sugar is in there. Now their body is going a different way, because after you keep eating it, there it goes. Just like people have a problem when they stop drinking. They have such a problem drinking, and they automatically believe, oh, well, it's the alcohol I gotta get. No, it ain't. It's the sugar. It's the sugar. If you ever made alcohol, you know you got to use a lot of sugar when you start off. You got a lot of sugar jumping off, right? So it's the sugar that's being generated in your body. So if you want to stop drinking alcohol, start eating candy. And then wean yourself off the candy. It'll be easier. Because you got to attack it from the truth. Islam? Yes, I'm good.
So are you saying that evil a distraction, or more so just trying to keep us occupied with something else? No,
it's just science. It's just science. You know, the evil wasn't something that was the essence. There's no essence of evil. You know, when you read in your Quran, it says nothing about the essence of evil being on the plane of soul. It said the things on the plane of soul was manifested. The essence of those things was on the plane of soul. Then it was manifest in flesh now. So the tree, the essence of the tree was there. The flesh is what you see, that tree. The body was essence in the plane soul. Now, and right now it's manifest, is this body that I'm in. Same thing with dirt and everything else. So the essence, the smells, the taste, all of that stuff. So the essence of evil was not there. The essence of evil is the creation of the carnal actions of today. Can I say it again? So the essence, evil didn't exist. The carnal activity that you doing right now creates the evil that you experiencing. It didn't exist on the plane of soul. You know what I mean? It didn't exist on the plane of soul. It wasn't there. The essence of carnalness wasn't there.
Islam.
Islam.
So I'll ask it a different way. What do you see now that makes us, allows us, whatever, accept evil? Because you right in the lane in which that I was thinking of, and we do not see it. We do not see the simple fact that there is a biological program that is given to us from our parents and through society, that the way you eat is very subtle and you accept it. However, it's the exact diet that's killing you, and the prophet confirms it. This European food, this food is nothing but European poison. Look at that statement. Look at that statement. It's very simple. And so, okay, I won't belabor the point. What do you see that right now makes us accept the evil that we do to ourselves?
Well, that evil, like I said, that evil that's the physical part of it. There's other parts where the prophet also talks about where we follow the creed of another nation's creed.
That's where
so we're going the wrong way. So we're not getting any of the things that we need to support ourselves spiritually, emotionally, and as a family, collectively. So the temple was here for that particular purpose. So all of those things, and why we accept those things is because we're not following what we're supposed to follow. As we start following what we're supposed to follow, then those things will fall off. Like the sister said at the beginning, you know, we won't be addressing issues that are non-issues. Oh, he's criminal, he's this, he did that, or she's that. We won't be addressing any of those things. We'll be only addressing the things that are forward. And they try to keep moving a little bit, because I want to bring this all back from it. So the corruption and the things that is in the individual, the state of the individual as not knowing themselves, is those things that we talked about, like the sister said, being who you are, and the brother said the food that we eat. All of those things bring you into the state of you. So it's the state of you that ultimately goes back up the same letter we just came down. So if I go back up the letter, it goes like this. The state of me, I'm eating correctly, I'm at the temple regularly, I'm seeing the people I'm supposed to see, I'm helping the people that I'm supposed to help, and I'm going into the state of Ohio. You know, now people in the state of Ohio deals with me in my proper persona, who I really am. Now that creates a reaction. Other people, for instance, I came here, Junius is here, our Grand Sheik, our previous Grand Sheik was Keith Dandrizel, you know what I'm saying? And I came here. Now all of you people are here, and there's a heap more that's here that's not here now. So that's the result of going out and people feeding off of that thing which is good, which is right, which is me taking an assessment of myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm learning myself, and as a result, it affects other people, and it starts to grow, as you can see now. So that's the effect of Ohio. Now the person comes into the temple, it's the same way. He goes into Ohio the same way. Now when we go in and Islam as a unit itself, you know, we go out and I talk to people. I say, Islam, how you doing, brother? They Muslim, but they don't understand me as Muslim. They look at me, they say, you Sunni, you Shiite, what are you? I said, I'm Muslim. But he looked at me so bad, I said, I think, no, but Islam. But they don't understand because they're not supporting me. You see? I said, they don't understand, and I know they don't understand, because if they was practicing Islam, they would support me. You don't have to agree with me, see? Because I don't agree with what he's saying, but I support him. If that's going to help you move up that ladder, keep moving, because I believe that the prophet has told us that in our Quran is saying that it's inevitable that you reach the point you're supposed to reach. It's inevitable that you make it back to Allah. So what's inside of you is going to unfold and become what it's supposed to become. You're going to die. That same body going to die on this plane. It's going to go to the soul plane. It's going to die on the soul plane, and the spirit going to be released, and it's going to go about its business. Islam. So that is what he going to do, whether he is a Christian, whether he is a Sunni Muslim, whether he is a Buddhist, it doesn't matter. That's the truth of this body. So I can support you until you come to another understanding, because mine is not complete. But because my thoughts and my ideals and my concerns is for other people, then I know that it's good to try to help other people and support them, because I don't know everything. But if you know everything and I see you not supporting anything and you tearing people down, I know not that. See, that's how I know not that, for that particular reason. So as we go on up, we get back to Islam being practiced in its proper place, and we get back to this humanity again. See, I don't make the human better in here. So now as humanity is, I can go get a sister and do what the prophet did. I can pick her up and bring her out of those cares of the world. She concerned about what's going on in the world. Sister, hold on. Don't worry about that. Let me talk to you about this. Look, right here. Right here. All we want to be concerned about is you. We don't want to be concerned about, no, just you. What about them people? No, my kids no, sister, just you. We just concerned about you. Let's get you together. Then all this stuff gonna be all right. See, I can do that now because I got patience to wait and help and assist. What am I? I'm salvation. If I can get the sister to stand upon that firm rock, then we good. Islam?
Islam.
So that's humanity for us. But we gotta go through it and bring it out of us so that we can provide it to the next person. Because we can't provide it if we don't go in and say to ourselves, what is the state of me? Islam, what is the state of me? You know? And we running out of our time. We allotted here. So Prophet said we have to keep these things going. Does anybody have any questions? And I know, Salih, you was getting ready to say something. Or had a question about something? No.
One thing I was going to say earlier in our usual Q&A, something kept making me research the word more because I had never come up with a satisfactory definition.
Wow.
And one of like, that was and what I'm finding in different languages, it meant different things.
Mm-hmm. But if you look into the root of it, and you can look in Greek or you can look in Hebrew, you will see it. Even if you look in the Bible, early on, it'll say that they're the light bringers, and it constantly refer to you as the light bringer.
So never, because the reason why I did that is because people kept, scholars were telling the people who were not Moors that it just simply meant black, and I know that's not the case. I mean, that's counterintuitive to everything that we teach.
Yeah, that concept of black having that political and legal connotation is kind of unique to,
but that's from the Greek.
To the United States.
That's from the Greek.
Well,
that's what did that. So knowing the history of the definitions is very important because then you begin to understand how it evolved to this point now, and that's critical as well.
Islam. I can say that from what I have researched and studied that they call them that because of burnt skin.
Right.
Well, again, the connotation of it being negative legally and politically is more centered here in these United States as opposed to other places. So when they were saying when they said, you know, the Moors are black, they didn't mean in the sense here, if you take on the connotation of black, here it's on and popping. You have no standing at all or anything. They mean that they're attaching that to you as a nationality. You see what I'm saying? Other places, they may be descriptive, but they using it as a actual noun. That's what you are. You are black. You know what I'm saying? And black has a definition, and it doesn't have any standing in any court, right? Right. So in other places, it wasn't quite meant the same way. So we have to be aware of when we're talking to other people, they're not using it in that same way. You know what I mean? But a lot of times we might jump on them without being mindful of it. The only problem that we have with our people is not saying who we are. When we say, hey, I'm a Moorish American, you know, or even if a brother come and say, hey, I'm a Choctaw, you know, and no, man, you got to be Moor. What a Choctaw was in the Moors, in the Moorish Empire. The Cherokee was in the Moorish Empire. When they was doing all of the fighting and they telling you they fight Indians, they was fighting the Moors. That's the Moorish Empire. The Moorish Empire is all of that. The Hittites, the Amorites, all of those people was here. And when you look into, like, if we look into Ohio Geographic Society, Historical Geographic Society, it'll tell you in there that all of those groups of people was the Moor. And they was fighting against us. They got letters that they was writing back and forth, and you will see it. But that Geographical Society is in every state. So I'm sure you'll find it from Illinois, or you'll find it in Florida. And at one point, it even says that they called my initial thought was, why is it that they're talking about Florida in an Ohio Geographic and History book? So I'm thinking, what's going on? And lo and behold, it turned out that when they first came over here, when Europeans first coming over here, the people were called Floridians. because Florida went all the way from Florida all the way up to the polar cap. You know, from the Mexico. So that's what they was doing. They was coming over here. So that's why he had the name, and that's why it was in the book. All of that area, all the way up, was all Florida. You see? So a lot of times, if we don't gather enough information, we might, you know, do that. And we're gonna have times where we make mistakes or we be misled temporarily, and we're gonna gather more information. No big deal. We're gonna be corrected and keep moving on. And brothers, we have to correct each other. Sisters have to correct us. You know what I'm saying? We have to be corrected so that we can move forward towards this truth, Islam, so we can make ourselves better. Islam.
I found chocolate means chocolate people in French.
Right.
Yeah.
The brother said he found that Choctaw means chocolate people in French. In France, that's what the term came from. But yeah, we have to be mindful of all these different descriptions of ourselves, because all it does is show us all the different hues that we come in. And the prophet in our Quran tells us, you know, all of the people that's Moors, all of the people that follows the Moors paradigm. Go ahead, brother.
Islam, like, they also refer to us as the copper tone people.
Right. Yeah, a lot, you hear that a lot, copper tone people. But all of that is to say that those are attributes that are attached to the outsides of us. The insides of us is what's causing us the turmoil. So we have to take that state and constantly work on it to make sure that our state ain't one that's chaos. That we're not participating in the murder. We're not participating in blinding the rest of our people simply by the fact that we don't want to say nothing because we in fear that something's going to happen to me. You know, well, something's going to happen to you anyway. And nothing's going to happen to you, really, your body, your soul, but nothing's going to happen to you. You've been tricked. So it's up to you to keep working on that until it comes full-fledged, comes out, till you unfold and become who you're supposed to be. Is there anybody have any closing statements or anything you need to say before we close out? Islam, sister has something?
Because you talk about evil, and then you say nothing's going to happen to me. Well, how do I keep this evil force out, and how do I let it in? And so somebody was talking about why do we remain susceptible? Just to contrast it with my understanding, which comes from the Bible, if evil lieth at the door, how can it lie at the door of a temple? Because it's always thoughts that are out there. And you're supposed to cast down everyone that don't line up with your most high self. The problem is that we bring some thoughts into reality that don't line up with our most high selves, and then we live out the consequences of those. So it all starts with a thought. You can't have light without darkness. You can't have good without bad. It's the law of polarity. So if evil is there, love has to exist. Both thoughts are available. It's the one you pull down into this earth realm and walk out determines the consequences.
Islam. We was running out of time, so I didn't read this part right here, but I'm gonna go ahead and read it since she opened us up to that. It's in chapter 38. Chapter 38 of our Quran, the Four Science Temple of America Quran, and it's the holy instructions from the prophet, the soul of man, and it's the first verse. It said, "The blessing, O man, of thy external part is." It says, "The blessing, O man, of thy external part," meaning that there's more parts to a man than just the external. Do everybody follow me? He's saying that the blessing, O man, of thy external part. So he's going to tell me what the blessing of my external part is right here. He didn't say my internal part, which there has to be, or there was no need to differentiate. You know what I'm saying? So we have the external part he's going to speak about. The external part is health, comma, vigor and proportion, right? So he said, this is the blessing of your external part, health, vigor and proportion, right? And it said, the greatest of these is health. So the greatest thing to your external part, which is what? Your body, right? That's the external part. You know what I'm saying? So the greatest of that external part is health, right? Anybody disagree?
I don't know, 'cause I like health in my body.
All right. Well, I'm just saying, for your body to be, the blessing to your body is health, is what I'm saying. So if you didn't have health, that body wouldn't be no
So
good.
outside of my body are the tools necessary, like fruit and vegetables and sunshine and water and.
No, we're not getting at that. We're just saying
That's
that the blessing, the blessing for the external part of you, the blessing is health. So if you can have health, the external part of you is great, right? If you got good health, you in good shape. You follow me? So you in good shape if you got health. If you don't have health, it's going downhill. So an example would be if you got $300,000, but you got cancer, and they say we need $300,000 to fix you. What you gonna do with the $300,000? Exactly. You're gonna give every dime of it up. Hold on, I got a couple more in my sock.
So what would you give it up to? Kroger's to get some dandelion greens and have all the stuff externally to take care of the health inside. Because the $300,000 won't buy cancer free, but it will buy the ingredients necessary for health.
Okay, whatever it takes to get health. Whatever they want $300,000 to get health. So that's the external, right? So he's saying that the external part is health, vigor and proportion. He said the greatest of these is health. So out of the vigor and everything else about your body, the greatest thing is having health. We want to have that. So you got people that's obscenely rich, they'll give all that away because they're on their way out. They're dying. I'll give it away. You know, if I can get more health. So you got people literally right now looking for the fountain of youth because there's a possibility that it may exist. They ain't got nothing else to do with their money, and I'm about to die. Sure, well, might as well go look. So it says here, what health is to the body, even that is honesty to the soul. So what health means to the body, what you're willing to give all your money to get back, health. Honesty is that to the soul. So you'll be willing to give all your money to tell the truth. All your money to hear the truth. That's honesty. That's what makes the soul healthy. It's honesty. So that is how you begin that state of where you in. Did I just tell a lie? Why? You know what I'm saying? Have I been living honestly? Have I been dealing with people honestly? Am I fair? When the person overpaid me, did I give it back? Or did I do the black thing? You know, they fault is on them and keep it. You know what I'm saying? Or do I get that back? See, this is honesty. Honesty is the key to the soul. So if you don't practice honesty, you can't take an adequate self-evaluation. We don't know what the state is, but I know when somebody is lying to me very easily now. I can pick it up like that. And the state of that person is the one why we in the position that we in, why the state is in the position that it is, state of Ohio, why the state of the temple got the way it got, why humanity is in the state that it is. That's why people got $1 billion and he only got $1,000. That don't make no sense. But I understand why that's like that, because I can take the state of that person. See, honesty will not allow that. Honesty won't allow that. You know, how much more can I do? If I got $1 billion and I'm feeding a billion people, fine. But if I'm just feeding 2 people with $1 billion, something ain't right. Something wrong. I shouldn't have that. I can't handle it. I can't manage it. Islam. So truth is what it is. Honesty is what it is. Is what you have to take that. You have to measure yourself with your truth. Did you tell the truth? Are you acting upon the truth? Or are you lying all the time? Are you living falsely? Because from there you can get nowhere. You're probably gonna stay black. No? All right, cool. If no more comments, we can get ready to get out of here. You stand for the closing prayer. Allah, bind our hearts and minds back to our ancient forefathers' divine creed and principles. This we ask in thy holy name and the seven Elohim. Amen. Islam. Islam.
As always, as always.
Let's get it.
Hey, I'm gonna grab these one. Okay.